Welcome back to Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Boy, I tell you, I am incredibly hyped you are here today because we are diving into a corner of video game history that makes absolutely no logical sense. Picture this. It's late 1980, and the digital frontier is an absolute wild west of neon pixels, space lasers, and adrenaline-fueled high scores. And kids are actively skipping school, raiding their parents' coin jars, and forfeiting millions of quarters to the gods of the local arcade. The entire industry is fueled by a desperate need for speed, violence, and flashing lights. Well, and then there's this. Activision Bridge. Yeah, a video game designed... What is going on here? Why is this doing this? Okay, video game designed not for the youth of America, but for their actual card-carrying, coupon-clipping grandmothers. It stands as one of the most bizarre, terrifying, bold releases of the 8-bit era. So today we are going deep into the untold story of how the most rebellious studio in gaming history risked their brand new reputation to bring the high-stakes, low-cardio world of duplicate contract bridge into your wood-paneled living room. Get your reading glasses ready because things are about to get incredibly slow on episode number 131 of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. I'm your host, Jason DiCatio, welcoming you to this edition of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. It's our 5th anniversary during the summertime here on Jay's old TV channel. This is Tuesday, June 16th, 2026, episode number 131, 5 days till Father's Day. So I hope you're preparing to get ready for a great weekend. If you're a father, you're going to be out there grilling, probably watching the races or any kind of sports enthusiastical thing going on. But right now, we're looking at an interesting piece of iconic history called Activision Bridge. So, to understand how this cartridge even exists, we have to look back at the dramatic corporate drama of 1979. Now, there were 4 legendary game designers: David Crane, Alan Miller, Bob Whitehead, and Larry Kaplan, completely fled Atari in the middle of the night. Now, at the time, Atari was making billions, but they treated their programmers like invisible, interchangeable assembly line factory workers. They weren't given royalties. They weren't allowed to put their names on the boxes, and they were utterly miserable. So they broke away and founded Activision, cementing themselves as the world's very first independent third-party game developer. The industry held its breath, and this new studio promised to push the Atari 2600 hardware to its absolute breaking point, proving that the creators mattered more than the corporate suits. David Crane immediately started working on the lush, swinging jungles of Pitfall. Alan Miller gave us the high-speed, white-knuckle thrill of Grand Prix. But Larry Kaplan? Larry looked at a television console powered by a microscopic 1.19 megahertz chip and had a completely different vision. He looked at that primitive hardware and thought, what if we ignored the children entirely and made a spreadsheet look like a country club card table? Well, now we need to talk about the absolute wizardry required to make this game, because the technical constraints of the Atari 2600 were a total nightmare. The console only had 128 bytes of RAM, and to put that into perspective for you modern tech heads, A single emoji sent over a text message today takes up more data and memory than this entire video game cartridge. Most developers were struggling just to make a digital square bounce off a digital line without crashing the television screen. And yet, despite these impossible limitations, Larry Kaplan successfully programmed an artificial intelligence opponent capable of evaluating a complex 13-card hand. And not only could it read the cards, but it could actually execute the incredibly dense and highly strategic Gorin bidding system. Kaplan didn't just build a card simulator, he built a digital brain. And it was a staggering feat of pure engineering genius that honestly belonged in a computer science lab, not sitting next to a pile of comic books in a kid's bedroom. When Bridge finally hit retail shelves in late 1980, it came packaged with box art that promised the sophisticated, high society allure of a James Bond casino scene. Look at these people drawn on the cover. They are dressed in formal wear, staring intently at each other, looking like they're playing for national security secrets or millions of dollars. It screamed elegance, it screamed tension, and it practically smelled like expensive cigars and scotch. And then you pop the cartridge into your console, and the reality hits you like a bucket of ice water. The background is an unyielding, aggressive, solid green that mimics cheap felt. And there are no card shuffling animations. There are no sound effects when a card is played. There is only text. And to make matters worse, the game forced you to play with a computer-generated partner named Arthur. Arthur did not smile. Arthur did not laugh. Arthur had no empathy. He only judged your life choices with the cold, unfeeling silence of a 1980s microprocessor. If you were a 9-year-old child opening this under the tree on Christmas morning because your well-meaning aunt bought you the wrong game, Bridge wasn't entertainment. It was an absolute existential crisis. Standard Atari games required lightning-fast reflexes, a loose wrist, and high spatial awareness. Bridge, on the other hand, require you to study a 30-page textbook detailing concepts like vulnerable hands, tricks, opening bids, and the stay-man convention. Now, the user interface was an absolute minefield. The Atari joystick only has one button and 4 directions. A single accidental flick of your thumb could result in you mistakenly bidding a 7-note trump. And doing that instantly broke Arthur's digital heart, completely ruined your evening, and prompted a computer calculation sequence that genuinely felt longer than a modern Windows software update. You would just sit there in the dark, staring at a frozen screen of digital clubs and diamonds, wondering what you did wrong with your life. But here is the wildest, most beautiful part of this entire story. Activision treated Bridge with the exact same competitive, hardcore reverence as its top-tier action titles. They didn't view it as a joke. They established the official Activision Bridge Century Club, and they issued a challenge to the entire world. If you managed to score an impossible grand slam against Arthur's unyielding algorithm, you could achieve legendary status. Think about the process back then. You couldn't just hit a screenshot button or stream it to Twitch. You had to get up, find a physical film camera, take a picture of your heavy, glowing CRT television screen, wait days for the film to develop at the local pharmacy, mail the physical photo to Activision headquarters in California, and wait weeks for a response. Now, in return, they shipped you this custom embroidered patch, and today it remains one of the rarest, most sought-after badges of honor in retro gaming. It is literal proof that you possess the patience of a true Zen master and the card skills of a retired Florida dentist. Ultimately, Bridge didn't save the tabletop card industry. It didn't spark a digital board game revolution. And Larry Kaplan actually left Activision shortly after its release to go back to Atari. But this game stands as a beautiful, glowing monument to pure engineering hubris. And it proved that in the golden age of gaming, no concept was too boring or too niche to be rendered in glorious, eye-straining 4-bit color. Did you or your family ever attempt to bid a slam with Arthur? And did you even know this game existed before today? Or did this cartridge just gather dust in your basement next to your copy of E.T.? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to Jay's Retro Toys and Games, and as always, keep it retro. And until next time, I'm Jason DeCanio. Remember to be honest and to be real. Always to keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. We'll see you on Thursday for another look at an interesting Activision game in our Activision series on the 5th anniversary of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Good night.